Life of social the life of a social media content creator. It's so funny. The life of a social media content creator. Do you know that I spent the last 30 minutes recording and it turned out that hey God, if you're not hearing me, then there's no sound. If you're hearing me, then there is a sound. Oh yeah. Okay. Amazing. Life. I mean, it's so funny, but obviously, it's given me a chance to talk all over again of what is expected from me. So I was I don't even know how to, when you plan something and you come and you deliver. It's difficult to re-deliver the same thing again because obviously it wasn't like, yes, we do plan to come on live, but the first time when you come on live, you are pouring out your heart and you're saying it. It might not be the same, but obviously I'll try. So welcome wherever you're joining in from. Let me know where you're joining in from. If you watch this as a replay, just know that I had I had joined in earlier and I shared everything for 30 minutes and it turned out that there was no sound. So if you are watching a replay, thank you for watching this replay. My name is Edidi Ongishola. I am a perinatal mental health therapist, and I will be sharing with you today the detailed explanation of how to differentiate between normal mom worries and clinical anxiety. That's clinical postpartum anxiety. So, if you are a new mom, you're someone who is interested to learn about new moms, you are a new father, you are also even an old father, but also wants to support your partner, or you're interested in supporting new moms, you are a cousin, a friend, a sister to a new mom, this video is for you because it might just come in handy for you to save a life and signpost a mother to care if they need one. So let's dive right in. I'm not going to spend so much detailed time like I did in the first recording. So if you're joining in, support me, drop a comment section, drop for me in the comment section. Let me know where you're joining in from. Just make sure that you're kind, because obviously my energy level right now, my energy level is it's not there anymore. But I'll try as much as possible to, share the same information I shared in the first recording. So now, for normal moms, what is this normal mom worry? What is it? I mean, typically it concerns, when it has to do with new moms, the concerns that come with being a new mom, the experiences of being a new mom, and also that part that comes in with you trying to adjust to motherhood can, affect, your worry level, if there's anything like that. So these new mom worries most often rooted in your desire to be a good mother, to protect your child and be there for your child. So this is what is normal mom worry. What causes this normal mom worry? A lack of experience of being a mother, mostly always first time moms. If you've never experienced being a mother before, I like to interject this live recording to just say thank you to my friend for coming to my WhatsApp DM to say, look, your live video, there is no sound to it. She said, look, there's no sound to it. Stop talking. I'm like, I didn't even open the message until I was done. And then I'm like, what? And then I go to watch the replay and I'm like, tell me that you are kidding me. It was a shock. But anyways, we have to do what we have to do. We have to do what we have to do. So moving on, I was talking about what causes mom worry. Obviously, if you're a first time mom, you don't have the experience, it kind of reduces your confidence level in motherhood or in the parenting journey. And so sometimes it can lead to a lot of worry. And again, hormonal changes, and if you're not having enough sleep, if you're not sleeping enough, it might lead to you being somehow worried about the health and well-being of your child. And like I said in the last recording, if you had watched it, I did say that if you are a new mom or if you just gave birth, there is a depletion in the hormones that were responsible for pregnancy, and those hormonal changes could lead to you feeling worried. Now, normal worry and clinical anxiety, they're different. I'm going to describe both of them. I'm currently describing what normal new mom worry is. If you're just joining in, thank you for joining in. Please encourage me in the comment section. And I am talking about a detailed explanation of what new mom worry is and what clinical postpartum anxiety is. I have just said what normal worry is, and I've also talked about two causes, one of which is lack of experience of being a mother, or you know, just navigating that parenthood experience for the first time. And the second one is the hormonal changes that has happened. Now there's a depletion because if you're postpartum, there's a depletion in the hormones, and those changes can interfere with your feeling and sometimes lead you to feeling somehow a little bit anxious, and which we classify it as normal mom worry. Another thing that can cause it is the pressure from the society. I mean, in my last live recording, I spoke about how the society can pressure you on your journey of motherhood, certain expectations, and obviously being a first-time mom, you might not understand what it means to set the priorities and set the boundaries, and also define for you what success means on your motherhood journey. So, because of that, you might fall prey for the societal expectations. And because of that, you might fall prey for the idea of a perfect mom, which does not exist. And that can lead you to fall into the category of the normal mom worry, because you can keep thinking, am I the perfect mom? Am I doing the right thing? Am I am I, being there for my child like I would? And so because of that societal pressure, it can lead to you feeling worried, and is still classified under the normal mom worry. What are the common examples of feeling the normal mom worry? Number one of it is going to be wondering if the baby is eating enough, which for me is kind of very, very common in first time mothers. Very, very common. And so, one of the things that we always say for mothers in our peer support community is, look, to be able to solve that worry, you need to do your schedule. You need to schedule your feeding. So, for example, if you start feeding a child at 7 a.m. In the morning, you can schedule and say, look, I'll feed you for 30 minutes, obviously latching, because breastfeeding can also be bottle feeding. So you are latching, I'm going to latch on for 30 minutes, and I'll do another 30 minutes, another in another 1 hour. And that way, I can solve that problem of worrying if the baby is eating enough. You can also express into a bottle, say, okay, I want to be able to tell if my baby is eating enough. I can say, okay, I'm going to express 5 meal. That's if you are, I'm talking about mothers who are, producing breast milk appropriately. There's a good amount of breast milk production without issues. So I'm just going to be focusing on that. Our topic, I need to streamline it because there's a lot that has to do with mother and child. So I'm talking about normal mom worry and anxiety. I'm not talking about breastfeeding. I'll stay on track. I'm talking about normal mom worry. So yeah, next time I'll talk about breastfeeding. But obviously, so if you express into a 5 meal bottle, and you are able to tell that, look, oh, this is 5 meal, and I'm going to give you 5 meal at so and so time. Obviously, you still have to schedule time, but this time around, you now know, okay, I'm going to feed you in another 1 hour, and 1 hour ago, my baby had 5 meal of breast milk. That could also reduce the anxiety that comes. Not I don't want to use the word anxiety because obviously there's clinical anxiety. I want to use the word normal mom worry because I'm trying to differentiate both of them. Also, there's also the feeling, and I'm trying to give you examples of what normal mom worry is. There's also the feeling of the fact that your baby is not breathing, so you constantly check your baby's breathing while they are sleeping. I do it. Most of us do it. But you're just like, I hope you're breathing. No, kind of a thing. So we all do it. So, but this is also classified under the category of normal mom worry. I will talk about it in detail as I go on and talk about the clinical postpartum anxiety. Now, um, there's also a feeling of the concern about the developmental milestone of your baby. This is also common in first time mothers. Sometimes you're like you find yourself comparing your baby's milestone with with babies of similar age, and I mean, it's quite normal, but obviously you are just among that category of, oh, this normal worry. You worry and you check, oh, my baby's 3 months, my baby's not even crawling at 3 months. Why is she not crawling? She's not supposed to be crawling. And that's how so and so person's baby crawl. I went to this person's house and they were crawling. You're worried about it, but obviously it's a normal mom worry. It's a concern and it's a normal mom worry. You're also worried about doing the right thing. If you're scheduling the sleep very well, if you're keeping your baby very well. I mean, you're also worried about what kind of food to also introduce, your feeding choices, your scheduling time, your food scheduling, your sleep scheduling. You're worried about all of those. So now, if you find yourself in this category, you are a normal mom worrying about these things. And I'm just going to go further to break it down to make you understand what the characteristics of normal mom worry is. The frequency, when we talk about frequency in the worry, is that it comes and goes. It's tied to specific events or challenges. It's tied to, for example, it's tied to you know, you going somewhere and seeing that, oh, it's a 3 months old is crawling and your child is 3 months and it's not crawling yet, and you start worrying about it. That was an event. If that event didn't happen, you probably might not have worried about it. So the frequency is that it can come and go, and also is tied to specific events and challenges. The intensity, I mean, the worry is manageable. It's not something that you immerse yourself in and you can't think about any other thing apart from that. I mean, it comes and goes, and sometimes the stress is temporarily. It doesn't give you so much stress. It could be a worry, but obviously it's not giving you so much stress. The impact, it doesn't affect your daily functioning or your bonding with your baby. It's a worry because you are worried about it. It doesn't stop you from breastfeeding your baby, because obviously, remember, it's worry. So because you are worrying, you try to find out solutions to get through to that worry. Now, if you are a mother and you find yourself in this category that I just mentioned, we will always signpost you to join our peer support community. I mean, being in our peer support community for just 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks, all your fears will be eliminated. I assure you that. How can you be a part of this? If you go to the link in my description, I'm so used to description. I'm so used to description on YouTube. Obviously, I'm always saying go to the link in my bio on Instagram, but we're on YouTube right now. If you go to the link in my profile of my YouTube, there is a link there. And if you also go to the link in this video, description of this video, I've pinned a link for you to I don't think, no, I didn't ping a link for the support communities, but obviously, if you go to my profile, you see the link to join the peer support community. If you're a new mother, if you're not even a new mother and you want to be able to eliminate the fears and the worries, you would do that ASAP with just you know other people sharing their own experiences and how they went through the same things and the same concerns that you may have, and how to deal with it. So if you fall into this category, you're in good hands. Go ahead and click the link right away. And also, there is a link in this description that can lead you to purchase a book, a self-help book that I wrote called Like Mother Like Child. Is written to help you use your mind to empower yourself, to provide support, and to also navigate your motherhood journey with support, with ease, with an improved experience. It is a self-help book that would change your entire psychological experience on your motherhood journey. So I advise you to quickly run now and then come back to the life. Run now and come back to the life. So click the link and purchase the book. It's very affordable and you would be able to use it on your motherhood journey. So I'm going to be moving ahead right now to talk about clinical postpartum anxiety, and I'm going to try and make it as basic as possible. In the last recording I just did, I did I did talk about I did try to differentiate it using clinical health, and obviously I talked about malaria and headache. So I am not trying to kind of share this information to create fear in you. One of the things that we don't support in our support community is fear. The last thing that we want to do is to create a sense of fear from anywhere. We are just sharing information so that when you know or you find yourself in that category, you stand up and come for help. You stand up and seek help early. Or even if you're around someone who you see these symptoms I am mentioning, or you see these presentations, you quickly say, look, I've heard this thing before. Gideon did say this, or that perinatal mental health therapist, Gideon on YouTube said something about this. I think it might be it. I mean, like I said earlier, it is best for you to seek professional help. And then when you now seek that help, it turns out that that's not what it is, than for you to not be sure of what it is. And then you just, it now escalates and becomes something that cannot be managed as better as it should have if you had started early. So I'm gonna be talking about I mean you have to understand that I've been differentiating between normal mom worry and clinical postpartum anxiety. So I'm gonna try and make it basic as possible. So clinical postpartum anxiety, let's say it is flu, and normal mom worry is a headache. Let's just give it those examples, because some people when they have a headache they can sleep and they wake up and they feel good. Some people when they have a flu, sometimes their immune system can help them deal with it. Other times they have to get on board with an antibiotics and all. Let's just assume that that's what it is. Now, this is no fear inducing or anything. I'm just trying to differentiate using clinical terms, just the same way we would deal with clinical situations, the same way that we're going to be talking about it in mental health situations for mothers. I mean, this is specifically for postpartum mothers. So now, what is clinical postpartum anxiety? I mean, it's an excessive, persistent worry, that comes with an uneasiness that disrupts your daily life. It's persistent. It is. It is. It is. It's not going. I mean, it's excessive. It's a lot, because sometimes it would be accompanied by physical symptoms, emotional symptoms. Physical symptoms like you have physical symptoms like headache, you start feeling nauseous, you feel feverish, you even start feeling tremor, you start even feeling difficulty in breathing. There is so much symptoms, physical symptoms that are associated with clinical postpartum anxiety. And also it affects approximately between 10 to 15% of women, and that's quite a significant number. So if you ever find yourself in this category, you're in the right video. This video is going to shed more light on what you're going through, and obviously hold your hand on how to seek help. So now, what causes this clinical postpartum anxiety? um yeah, I was just checking to make sure that there is still sound. Oh God, I don't know if I want to say I have normal anxiety just for that video I recorded and there was no sound. But anyways, moving back, let's go back to the topic. What causes postpartum clinical anxiety? Hormonal changes. Same thing with the normal worry of new moms or moms. It's the same thing. There is hormonal depletion when you have just given birth. I mean, if also you have a history of personal mental health disorder or anxiety, or even a history of a family member who has anxiety, then you must speak to your midwife, your nurse, your doula, your GP, your doctor. You must speak to them about it when you have become pregnant, so that they can document it and signpost you for care early enough. It's just like, again, I'm going to give an instance. It's just like a mother who is rhesus negative. So when you are rhesus negative, you must inform your doctors. Not like doctors don't do the right thing or take the right test, but you can be unfortunate or lucky and you visit a hospital that don't follow some procedures, and so you would have known. That's why awareness and activisms like this, and also advocacy like this, helps you kind of provide you with the information, so that you can even speak about it, even if that health facility is not providing that service, so that they are in the know. So if you have a history of anxiety, or a history of a family member who has an anxiety, who has experienced anxiety or a mental health condition, please put it down. And I'm glad that some hospitals are beginning to give out forms for women to be able to track women who might suffer postpartum anxiety or postpartum depression or any other perinatal mental health disorder. So if you are in that category, if you have that history, then you must tell your GP. And another thing that can cause clinical anxiety is a stressful life event of history of a stillbirth, history of a miscarriage, history of an accident, history of having a health condition that you couldn't, bring yourself to accepting, history of losing a loved one, any stressful life event. I mean, even having a severe heartbreak from a relationship, anything could lead to you having clinical anxiety. And if you had watched my previous recording, I did say that, look, sometimes there is no known cause for this thing, and that's why you shouldn't blame yourself, and that's why you should not feel that, oh, you should not be shamed or feel shameful about it when you want to seek help, or be fearful and say, oh no, this is serious. It's just like when someone discovers that, oh look, I have diabetes, or I'm hypertensive, or I've got cancer, and they start withdrawing or not going out there to talk to people, or maybe even not even talk to people, talk to a professional to get proper help. So that way they just find themselves not doing anything about it, and they disassociate, and kind of run away from seeking support and help. So if you have ever experienced any of these that I just mentioned, then you might also be at risk of a clinical postpartum anxiety. And obviously, lack of support. I cannot ring the bell of lack of support enough. And that's why peer support communities are important. Again, click the link in my personal profile to be able to access our peer support communities. And if you are a spouse of someone who is pregnant or postpartum, please give them enough support through the home front, providing them with, helping them around in the house, helping them around do stuffs, so that they don't feel a lot of stress. So if you are a mother who is in this category, who don't have support, which a lot of mothers don't, especially for those who live in the diaspora, if you don't have enough support, then you must find communities and hold hands to receive support, whether virtually or offline. You must find a way to receive support. So what are the symptoms? Just like with the normal worry, what are the symptoms of clinical anxiety? The symptoms are tied to the characteristics. It is constant intrusive thoughts. You are constantly thinking about harm coming to your baby, constantly, constantly. You are just thinking that your baby, there's something going to happen to, or they're going to have an accident, or the baby has fallen, or that they are going to experience SID, sudden infant death. You're just constantly thinking about harm coming to your child, or your baby falling ill, or your baby getting sick without you being able. It is constant. And then obviously there's also the obsessive behavior that you would present, that you are repeatedly checking your child's breathing, you're repeatedly washing your child's feeding bottle, repeatedly changing the water for the sterilizer. I mean, just it's repeated. It's repetitive and it's obsessive. You become obsessed about making sure that your baby's food or meals are made by you. I mean, there are also physical symptoms like your heart begins to race. I mentioned that earlier. You start feeling feverish, you have headache, you feel dizziness, you feel nauseous. There's no feeling that, I mean, in postpartum postpartum clinical anxiety, the feelings are kind of similar to clinical disease. That's how I want to say it. So these physical symptoms I mentioned, you would likely experience it. And even if you're experiencing all or one out of all of the things I just mentioned, it's still recommended for you to stand up and say, look, this thing is becoming too much. I might just as well find help and all. So the next, sorry, give me a second, please. I think I'm a little bit distracted. Some stuffs are coming up. So the next point I that you would experience, I've talked about the fact that you experience physical symptoms, is obviously difficulty in sleeping and relaxing, because someone who has been obsessive, someone who has been excessively intrusively thinking about a lot of things, and then you are repeatedly doing things, you're going to have insomnia, because you have not been able to get your mind to a place of tranquility. You've not been able to get your mind to a state of calm. So sleep is going to be a problem. And even when your baby is calm, you are not calm. You're constantly worrying. You're constantly thinking about the baby's well-being, that you even forget. And bear in mind, it's not like you can help it. You have to bear in mind that you can't help it, but just to be obsessive. Sorry. So another thing that you will find yourself doing is that you are avoidance of doing certain things. Say for example, you guys have to go out. Obviously, there's someone in the house caring for the child, and you have to go out with your friends, or just step outside, with your friends and say, look, let's have some ice cream. Your friends came to visit you for postpartum, visit, and they're like, oh, let's just, can you walk us to the road? Like you're not going to go with them because you're so worried that the moment you leave your child, they might come back and find your child dead. You just want to make sure that you're holding the child. You just want to make sure that you are in constant monitoring of the child. So it becomes, you find yourself that you are avoidance of certain things, and that there, ladies and gentlemen, is clinical postpartum and anxiety. Just like the normal worry of mothers, I'm going to also characterize this clinical postpartum anxiety into different, you know factors: the frequency, the intensity, and the impact. The impact is the most important for mothers who are experiencing postpartum clinical anxiety. The frequency of their worry is persistent, and it's difficult for them to control. They cannot control it. They want to wash that baby bottle feeder for an hour, and it's not tied to any specific events. There's no event, like I mentioned earlier, that, oh, a mother went out and saw like a 3 month old crawling, and they said, oh, look, why is my own 3 month old not crawling? That's an event, but this one is not tied to anything. Say for example, you maybe sleeping peacefully on the bed, and you've checked and they are breathing, but no, you can't just bring your mind to get it out of that situation. Now that event has passed, but you're still excessively worried about your baby's breathing. So it's not tied to any event, and you can't, it's difficult. It's not, obviously you can control, but it's difficult for you to control it. It's so difficult for you to control it. So now it becomes frequent, it becomes persistent, and the intensity is overwhelming. Is so overwhelming that you feel consumed by that feeling. Like I explained in the last video, you feel like you're in a fog. Have you been in a fog before where you don't see anything? You're in a car. Let's say you're in a car and you're inside fog. You can't see anything. That's how the intensity of clinical postpartum anxiety is. And the impact does affect your day-to-day daily activity. It affects your bonding with your child and affects you enjoying your motherhood, journey. So these have been the detailed differences between your normal mom worry and postpartum clinical anxiety. Regardless of any of the divides that you find yourself, help is available. If you find yourself in the divide of clinical postpartum anxiety, I'm a trained perinatal mental health therapist. I provide one-on-one sessions that hold hands with mothers experiencing this and help them to navigate that journey with grace and find their way back. So I've also created a self-help book that can help you navigate this journey. It's called Like Mother, Like Child. I've pinned the link to that book in the description of this video. If you go there, you can click the link. If you want to contact me, go to my profile. You'll see a link to be able to reach out to me. And if you don't find the link, if you purchase any of my resources, you would be able to reach me directly, even via our website, our website, which is Make Earth Cares. Make Earth Cares is a perinatal mental health organization that was founded by me in 2017, and I provide my services through that company. So if you click the link in my personal profile, you'll be able to find resources that would help you, and you specifically be able to find that self-help book called Like Mother, Like Child, that was written to, for you to be able to use it to navigate your journey, using your mind to navigate your motherhood journey with grace, with peace, using personal stories from my experience, my 7 years of experience of working as a perinatal mental health provider. So now, if you are, say you are in the category of mothers who are experiencing normal worry, and also in the category of mothers who are experiencing postpartum clinical anxiety, you can still join our peer support community, and from there I will identify you. Every mother, we have over 1,000 mothers in our support communities. Every of them, I know them by name. So if you feel that, oh, you might just not want to get mental one-on-one counseling or therapy yet, and you just want to get on the group first or get on the peer support community first, then that can be your first step so that you don't feel a lot of overwhelming. But make sure by all means that you receive support, you receive help, and that you don't be alone at this time. I want to thank you for watching up until this time. And if you have, and this video has given you value, which I believe it has, give this video a thumbs up, and also share this video. And please make sure that you drop me a comment if you've ever experienced this. If you have questions, I'm happy to take those questions. Drop me a comment and drop me a question and I will take it. I think there are some people online right now, so I'm just going to wait a minute. If you have any question regarding this topic, I'm happy to take it right now before I just go off, because I want to go off this live. I want to thank you for watching up until this time. If I'm going to wait for a minute, if I don't get any questions, I will end this live recording until I see you on the next. Thank you. Bye bye.